So the next couple of commentaries that I will be uploading are themed with movement in mind. I will still be commentating and breaking down the entire fights, explaining what I'm doing, but the thing that I'll be trying to focus on more and the thing I want you to try and pay attention to is my movement and how I'm moving about the fights. And today's video is going to be focused on positioning. Before we even get into the nitty-gritty of actual inputs that you're pressing and like what abilities to use in certain situations, the thing I want to focus on today is positioning, because that is going to be something that you can control during a fight that will drastically increase or decrease your probability of surviving. It doesn't matter what type of build you're fighting against. Positioning is going to be one of the main things you want to try and remember and focus on when you're fighting outnumbered fights. So jumping into the clip here, as I mentioned, the topic today is positioning. And when you're fighting outnumbered, one of the things that is going to get you killed most of the time is getting surrounded. And that's one of the things you're going to try and focus on. And I want you to try and pay attention that I do in all my fights. You want to try and never let anybody get behind you. Not only because it does a lot of damage, but getting surrounded, like I said, is going to be what ends up getting you killed. And as soon as I take a little bit of pressure here and these guys start approaching me, you notice I make a bunch of space and immediately back up to keep all of the visible threats in front of me and not let anybody get behind me. And as I noticed that the player that ran past us didn't jump on our back, I jump back into the fight. And as you notice, is the second that I get into the middle of the fight and I'm surrounded, I use that dodge roll to get to the other side of that player and try and pop off and incinerate. But the entire time during this fight, I'm going to be essentially not letting anybody get behind me. I jump into the middle there for a second, but I use my incinerate, which has a knockback, so none of them are able to capitalize on it. But we're trying to go ahead and put a little bit of damage in. I use my flesh to reposition. Also use my burnout to reposition again, because I see that there's enemies spawning out of this respawn point here. But as you can notice, the entire time we're going ahead and trying to keep people in front of us. I get caught in a pretty nasty ice shower there, so I try to use my evade to negate some of the damage. We just barely get out of it there, being pretty low once we get out of the route. But I'm going to kind of just change my direction left and right as I'm running away here to try to heal. And once again, keep my spacing until I'm comfortable to fight and not let anybody kind of flank around me. So I, like I said, jump and use my dodge roll again to get to the other side of that player. But as I get low again, I'm just going to go ahead and retreat. I use my fléché to get out of that fight. I notice a musket player here that's pretty low, but again, I dodge roll to the other side of him because I know that there's players chasing me. And I'm just going to keep moving here because I don't want to end up getting surrounded. We still have quite a few players chasing us here. A Gradix player ends up jumping. We get caught in a gravity well, but I have my flesh up, so we are able to escape that pretty easily. And constantly just using my dodge rolls and my evades to not only keep space between me and the opponent trying to aggress on me, but not let myself get surrounded. And every time I jump into the middle of a fight, I use my incinerate. But you see, I get caught by a void gauntlet root there. We almost get taken out, but I managed to fléché out and survive with my life. And we end up having two Gradix players here who end up jumping on top of us here. So I try to dodge roll to make some more space, but he does land the gravity well. We get caught with the hammer stun, and I'm taking quite a bit of pressure, but we managed to land the parry. I use my evade and my roll to back up a little bit here and get some food and the regen potion going there. I use my burnout to reposition through these players, and as you can notice, I know it's going to be kind of annoying to be repeating this, but I'm constantly trying to reposition. I get a really nice parry off on both players there. Thanks to that increased duration, I'm able to finish off the one before he's able to get out of that stun. And I'm constantly jumping on each side of this player here to go ahead and, like I said, not only confuse him, but try to never let him get a lockdown on me or let anybody else surround us. But jumping into the next clip here, we're in a pretty crazy brawl on the point. And when you're in a tighter space like this and you don't have the space to constantly back up, you're going to want to go ahead and use your rolls to reposition yourself. So you see a roll onto the other side of this opponent once. We roll again to reposition, and during my roll I hit my incinerate, so he's not able to hit us at all because of the direction changes that we're doing, and we get him pretty low. So I'm trying to finish off the kill here, and he retreats back out to his team, but I get hit with a hammer stun. And I wanted to go ahead and slow down this part here because I want you to actually pay attention to each one of my dodges, because they are in an effort to not get surrounded. So I jump into these players, we roll dodge to the right to keep them in front. As I'm not able to finish the kill, I roll dodge again to the mage to again have the players in front of me and not have them have an opportunity to surround me. Roll dodge to the right because that's where the bulk of the players are, are to our left, and constantly just making space to keep them in front of us. At the end there, I flush through them, but as you can notice, I am constantly trying to not waste my rolls. Each and every single roll I did there was in an effort to try and keep them in front of me and keep spacing. But we jump back out onto the fight here. I tried to put in an incinerate just to put in a little bit of damage into those players there. But I'm going to immediately once again go ahead and put myself in a position to where I have these players needing to approach me and not surround me. We get a Great X player kind of jump onto us here, and I'm taking a little bit of pressure, but I roll dodge onto the other side of him. Being that the other players are not behind me, I use my flush and my roll to once again reposition onto the other side of that player and not have anybody behind me. And we get another Great X player. We use a parry to essentially evade or negate the damage. Use my flush to get onto the other side of these players, land a parry, and use our evade to once again make space. And then we use our burnout to get through these players, and we get saved by our teammates. But I know it happens quite quickly during fights, but as I mentioned, I each time am trying to use my dodge rolls to either reposition myself onto the other side of the opponent or use it to back up to essentially not let my flanks get exposed. But yeah, as you could tell, this video was played with the fire staff, and the main tool or thing that we would use to help us reposition was using both our flesh and our burnout to reposition and go through opponents to get onto the other side of them. The next video will be using the ice gauntlet with the same positioning theme in mind, but kind of how you manage that on the ice gauntlet. And then I will end up moving on to some more class specific and ability specific ideas when it comes to movement. But please let me know what you guys thought of the video in the comments if it was helpful. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.